absolutely delighted to welcome Geetanjali back to JNU, an institution that thousands of people have built over the 5 decades, a little over 5 decades of its existence, that have helped to produce this as a unique space, one in which very high levels of scholarship are combined with democratic decision-making, where hundreds of opinions flower, where there are multiple internal critiques of one another, and an enormous sense of social responsibility that manifests in the kind of work that is done inside the campus and outside the campus, but above all, a sense of critical thinking that makes every space in JNU a challenge, and in the classroom, it challenges the teacher even more than the student. I'm also thrilled that the occasion to welcome Geetanjali and to celebrate her achievement has been provided by JNUTA, our Teachers Association, that has provided us term after term of inspiring leadership that has enabled us to stand tall and to stand tall in defense of our commitment to scholarship, teaching, research, and our commitment to maintain and sustain democracy and social justice in the face of unimaginable pressure and very high costs. I also want, in these times, to distance Geetanjali from my statements because she had no idea what my preliminary remarks would be. She's our guest. She's an alumna of JNU. She is the winner of the International Booker 2022, and we are extremely proud. Very proud of her association with our university, JNU. Geetanjali Shree completed her PhD at the Center for Historical Studies. Her thesis was on you did your MPhil at JNU?
I did my MA.
Okay, there you go. She did her PhD not from JNU, but she was touched by JNU. And if you have been touched by JNU, you never ever escape it. So there you are. They won't own you anyway. But she finished her PhD on Premchand, and that work later became a book titled Between Two Worlds, an intellectual biography of Premchand. But her passion, of course, has been in writing fiction. She has published 5 collections of short stories and 5 novels. Mai, the English translation of which by Neeta Kumar won the Sahitya Academy Award. Kali Jagah, Hamara Shahar Us Baras, Tirohit, translated into English by Rahul Soni, and of course, Red Samadhi, translated by Daisy Rockwell.
Let me interrupt. Kali Jagah, translated by Nivedita Menon.
That's why I'm here. That's my only claim to fame. I was asked to do this because I've done that. I am going to speak about that. She is also, Geetanjali, it's very difficult to put together a quick CV of Geetanjali. If you tell her, Geetanjali, send me a quick CV, she'll say, Bhai, I'm so tired. Acha, maine ye bhi kiya, acha, wo kiya, acha, ye. And it's that kind of conversation you have with Geetanjali. So I did a lot of research, almost as much research on a PhD to get this information. Which is why there are some errors in it, obviously. So she has been awarded the Indu Sharma Katha Samman, the Hindi Academy Award for Achievement in Literature, the Dvij Samman, and the prestigious Krishna Baldev Vaid Award for her writing. Her novels have been translated into several European languages as well. Geetanjali has also been part of a vibrant artist collective called Vivadi, which has, since the 1980s, I think, organized several kinds of events or scholarly gatherings, theatrical performances, and so on. As part of Vivadi, she worked closely with Anuradha Kapoor, who I think many of you will know as an eminent theatre personality and a renowned theatre director. And Geetanjali has written scripts for outstanding plays such as Voibare, Naika Be, Kora, etc. and has been associated with the writing of Performing Women, a play weaving together 3 Greek tragedies and performed by artists from Uzbekistan, Iran and India. So that's the kind of thing that Geetanjali has been doing in terms of her literary work. Now, I have had the great pleasure of translating one of her novels, Khali Jagah. I was certainly going to bring it up and boast about it. Did you think I was going to be modest about it? It was a dizzying experience, I must say, because I was intrigued by the narrative, its mystery, and the very strange, almost hallucinatory voice of the narrator. And Geetanjali, that's characteristic of Geetanjali, this style of writing, as you will see when she does the reading that she's going to do, and some of you may already have read her work. So she was recently questioned on the difficulty of her work, and her answer, which I imagine was somewhat testy and irritable, was like, this was her answer when she was asked, your work is difficult to engage with and so on. She said, I'm quoting what I read online, she said, literature is not a samosa that can be gulped and digested in a second. दाल देती हूँ मैं आपकी digestion को वो अलग बात है that my samosas don't digest so easily. Literature is not a samosa that can be gulped and digested in a second. Critical thinking is necessary, and it is okay if you don't understand. We must savor this confounding aspect. Literature allows you to think anew and get shaken a little bit. So, at one level, I was able to relate very comfortably to Khali Jagah because the sensibility is so contemporary. But at another level, as I said, it was dizzying because the plot, if you could call it that, is far from a linear narrative. And her Hindi is, even for a native speaker of Hindi, would find it playful, inventive. The syntax is often unorthodox, quite difficult to capture in English, quite difficult to understand as you read it. As she said, you cannot gulp and digest any book of, any work of Geetanjali's. It's inflected by Urdu and Persian, by slang, by Hindi film songs. It's Hindustani, but written with a kind of personal slant. It's Geetanjali's own take on Hindustani. So she's certainly not a Hindi writer whose language is available to be appropriated by the politics of Hindi chauvinism. It's a very different kind of Hindi. Geetanjali is also very deeply involved, if I'm to go by my experience with Khali Jagah, I imagine this is how she is with her other translators. She's deeply involved in the process of translating her own work as she's fluently bilingual. She reads every word of the translation, has comments on every page, and we've had long involved arguments and argumentative discussions, I would say, on whether I had captured what she was trying to say in some particular passage. When she finished writing Red Samadhi, I remember an email when she finished writing Red Samadhi, in which she said gleefully that a very fine fellow writer had read it and loved it, and had said, you have written your most untranslatable novel to date. So Daisy Rockwell clearly took that as a challenge, and she was up to it. So I do want to congratulate Daisy Rockwell on her artistry that has brought Geetanjali's novel into a wider international public. So I will now turn to Geetanjali to begin this event with her reading of a passage. After which I'll ask her a couple of questions and we will have what is called a conversation. And then we'll open it up to the audience and we hope to wind up by around 5:20, 5:25, that's the plan. So I will now hand over very literally to Geetanjali. Yes, Shamim, I will hand over an actual mic. So it's not a metaphor, the handing over is an actual thing, the mic. This mic, but this is working, okay.
Also, this collar mic.
Yes, yes, I am okay.
No.
Yes.
थोड़ा सा space होना चाहिए. That others can also.
Well, I'm overwhelmed being back in JNU and being here in the midst of this amazing crowd, this amazing gathering. I better speak very calmly because otherwise I'm going to topple over straight onto you, it seems. So I have to be very, very straight and careful. It's really lovely to be here, and I really don't know where to begin. It's great to be with Nivedita. It's very dangerous to be with someone like her who does so much research. I've been sitting practically on the edge of the seat wondering what it is now that she's going to tell.
That's wrong.
And I think I've had to speak so much in recent times in particular that I've developed a very short memory, so I don't even remember many of the things I've said. So it's really coming to me. The samosa, by the way, can be small, so it's easy to digest it. Yeah. But, well, we'll have a conversation about whatever Navy chooses to talk about. But I did want to say something about Red Samadhi, which I have happily forgotten. So it'll come back to me. I'll start with the reading. It was very difficult for me. As you can see, it's quite a fat book. In Hindi, it's like this. In English, it's like that. But not because they made it longer in English. It's only because they've made the layout different. So there are lots more blank spaces. So those who like that say that they are able to breathe when they go along. And in Hindi, they have to go a bit breathlessly. So have your pick. I had a difficult time. It's a very different kind of novel. It's not a, it's not a novel with a simple linear theme where one thing follows another. It's actually stories coming together and de-linking, linking again, getting left at the wayside or going on. And it's also stories about telling stories. So it's become quite a, इंतज़ार हुसैन कहते थे कि कहानी आवारा होती है. So कुछ हद तक ये काफ़ी आवारा किस्म की किताब है. Great inspiration that I've got from इंतज़ार साहब. So inspiration that I've got from the great इंतज़ार साहब. Okay. So I found it very difficult to decide, what bits to read. I mean, it's just got many different kinds of things in it. Sorry, I also want to tell you when this friend wrote, I didn't know I shared it with you straight away, that it's my most untranslatable book to date. Another friend, just a little while later, said to me, and what's a translator worth if they don't take up the challenge of an untranslatable work? So I think not just Daisy, my French translator Annie Monto, who also did, I think, a marvelous job, but English being where it is, everyone knows that, and Booker has, of course, made it very, very famous, but the French translation is also excellent. So I'm really lucky, that the untranslatable book has got such wonderful translations. So anyway, so I decided to read, a slightly somber passage, and I decided I would read the same in Hindi and English. If you want me to do it together, I'll do that, or if you want me to give it a gap, I can do that. Together, okay. Right. And what do you want first, Hindi or English? Hindi. It really touches my heart. So I don't know if any of you have read the book, but it's set in the family. And the family is the microcosm of everything that goes on everywhere in the world. So it starts with a woman who's very much family, grandmother, grandmother, and looks like her life is over, but actually decides to get up and reinvent herself, and then goes into all kinds of events and journeys. And one is a journey across the border into Pakistan. And then, I don't know how many of you have been to Pakistan, but you need a visa for every place you go to. So she goes to some places but wants to go to some other places as well. She's searching for somebody. And so she goes to these areas without a visa and is ultimately intercepted and put in a kind of house arrest. And there's interrogation that goes on. And I'm going to read you a little bit, one scene of that interrogation. So the interrogator, the officer, is sitting there in front of her and talking to mother. आपका नाम अली अनवर पूछ रहे हैं माँ से। लोग तुम्हें ये नहीं बताया गया कि किससे मिलने जा रहे हो? माँ पूछती है। अली अनवर नीचे मेज को देखते हैं, फिर ऊपर, मगर कभी माँ के बाएं कभी दाएं। आप यहाँ कैसे आ गई? तुम्हारी इस फौज, माँ हाथ सबकी तरफ घुमाती है जैसे झाड़ू फेरती हो, ने ये भी नहीं बताया हाथ में अभी भी मिट्टी निकल रही है। अली अनवर बहुत शाइस्तगी से बोलते हैं, ख़वातीन आपने बहुत गलत किया है, बाहर खतरा है, आपको इल्म नहीं। फिर तो शुक्र कि तुम्हारे लोग हमें यहाँ ले आए। माँ मुस्कुराती है। सही कह रही हैं खातून, आप यहाँ महफूज हैं, बाहर पता भी नहीं चलता कि कोई गायब है, तालिबान के हाथों में पड़ गया कि इन्हीं घाटियों में कहीं दफन हो गए। हम चाहते हैं आपको सही सलामत वापस भेज दें। वापस ही आई हूँ। माँ उसकी आंख में आंख डालती है। अली अनवर आंखें और नीची कर लेते हैं। मोहतरमा आप जानती हैं आप बिना वीज़ा के हैं। वीज़ा मेरे लिए क्या, आज तक नहीं माना, अब इस उम्र पे मानूंगी? माँ कहती हैं जैसे 100 बरस की हैं कि 200 की, कि सदियों से सदियों तक। आप जानती हैं ये जुर्म है, आप सरहद पार करके आई हैं। अली अनवर की आवाज़ सूत भर ऊंची। बेटी एक कदम माँ की तरफ लेती है और 3 कदम पीछे हो जाती है। कौवा जहाँ था वहीं रुक जाता है, गर्दन तिरछी करके कुछ इस अदा से बुत बना है कि एक पंख गौर से सुनने के लिए एक गाल पर रख लिया हो और अपलक सुन रहा हो, क्योंकि माँ छड़ी मिट्टी में टिका के उठने लगी हैं। उठती जाती हैं खड़ी होने को, उसके बाद भी उठती जाती हैं जैसे छोटी नहीं लंबी होती जाएं, खैबर के आसमान से सिर सटाती। और अब वो ऊंची खड़ी हैं और सब आंख ऊपर किए, एक हाथ गाल पर दिए सुन रहे हैं। सरहद, माँ कहती हैं, सरहद जानते हो सरहद क्या होती है? बॉर्डर। क्या होता है बॉर्डर? वजूद का घेरा होता है, किसी शख्सियत की टेक होता है, कितनी ही बड़ी कितनी ही छोटी। रुमाल की किनारी, मेज पोश का बॉर्डर, मेरी दोहर को समेटती कढ़ाई, आसमान की सरहद, इस बगिया की क्यारी, खेतों की मेड़, इस छत की मुंडेर, तस्वीर का फ्रेम। सरहद तो हर चीज़ की है। अरे लेकिन सरहद निकालने के लिए नहीं होती, दोनों तरफ को और उजालने के लिए होती है। तुमने मुझे निकाल दिया, मैं निकल जाऊं? नहीं। सरहद बंद नहीं करती, खोलती है, आकार बनाती है, किनारा सजाती है। किनारे का इस तरफ भी खिल जाता है और उस तरफ भी। नक्काशी कर लो, बेल बूटे टिमका दो, असली नगीने लगा दो। क्या है बॉर्डर? वजूद को उभारता, ताकत देता, ना कि चीरता। बॉर्डर पहचान बढ़ाता है, जहाँ दो तरफ मिलते हैं और दोनों तरफ खिलते हैं। बॉर्डर उनके मिलने को सजाता है। हर अंग की सरहद होती है, इस दिल की भी। उसको घेरे मगर उसको बाहर के अंगों से पुल की तरह जोड़े, ना कि तोड़ने। दिल के भीतर और दिल के बाहर। मनहूसों, दिल के बीच में सरहद खींच दोगे तो उसे बॉर्डर नहीं कहते, चोट कहते हैं। दिल की सरहद में दिल लॉक कर दोगे तो दिल टूट जाएगा। गधों, सरहद कुछ नहीं रोकती, दो अंगों के बीच का पुल होती है, रात और दिन के बीच, जिंदगी मौत के, पाने खोने के। वो जुड़े हैं, उन्हें अलग नहीं कर सकते। सरहद क्षितिज है, जहाँ दो लोग मिलते हैं, गलबहियाँ करते हैं। बॉर्डर इश्क है, इश्क जेल नहीं बनाता, हर रोक लांघने के लिए सितारे बिछाता है। बॉर्डर मिलन की रेखा है, इधर और उधर के जोड़ को अगल बगल लाकर खुशनुमा बनाने को। दोनों की मुलक के लिए होता है, दोनों की मुलाकात के लिए होता है संगम। सरहद खेल है, बड़ा लज्जतदार। एक लाइन खींच दो, इकट्ठ दुखट खेलने लगो, ऐसे कूद कूद। एक रस्सी बांध दी, उस पर झूठ पड़े, इधर भी उधर भी, ऐसे। फिसलो इधर भी उधर भी, ऐसे नट की तरह चलो, झूमो गिरो दोनों तरफ, ऐसे मुकाबले में हंसते हुए, एक खेल हंस हंस के खेलो, हमारा पाला तुम्हारा, गेंद उछालो मारो उड़ती जाए सरहद पार, छक्का सरहद छुल जाए चौका, सब राजी खुशी। सरहद पर मस्तियाँ, वहीं गाने बनाओ वहीं नाचो कविता कहो, बॉर्डर को आगे सुधराते बेइंतहाई में बेखौफ होकर, हद पाओ सरहद किनारा, पर वहाँ ठूक न जाओ न ठोक दो, बॉर्डर को आगे करो आगे और आगे, किसी प्यारी संजीदा निडर बनावट में, जैसे अदृश्य रस्सी को बल दे रहे हो, आगे और आगे, बिना संतुलन खोए बिना तोड़े बिना टूटे, उस पार निकल आओ। सरहद भले मानस पार करने की चीज है, बॉर्डर माने कूदो, है ही कि लांघो लौटो खेलो मुस्कुरा के स्वागत करो, वहाँ मिलो रचो, मजा है उसे लांघने में, सारा लेन देन वहीं होता है। सरहद अपने को दर्शाती है दूसरे से राब्ता करने, एक है तो दूसरा है मोहब्बत में, नफरत में हो गए तो जो खून ताकत पहुंचाने इधर से उधर धमनियों से जाता है, वो छिटक जाएगा और बहेगा, दोनों अंग तिल तिल मरेंगे, ये कौन बेवकूफ चाहेगा, ये तुम बेवकूफ चाहते हो। तुमने सरहद को नफरत का बाइस बना दिया, दो वजूदों में मजीद निखार लाता खूबसूरत बॉर्डर नहीं, दोनों को मारता रक्त नली को काटता हैवान। नादानों, ये सिर्फ तुम जैसी कच्ची बुद्धियां ही गुमान कर सकती हैं कि तुमको मारूंगा मुझे कुछ नहीं होगा। बच्चों, खून से चलते बॉर्डर्स का एक ही हश्र मुमकिन है, खून नलियों को फाड़ के बहेगा और सारे अंग सूख के अकड़ आएंगे और फिर जाएंगे और फिर करते रहना अल्लाह अकबर और हरे रामा हरे कृष्णा। ये जो सरहद है हमारे तुम्हारे ज़माने के फ़र्क की बात है, तब हम इस तरह नहीं डरते थे। यही जानकर इंतज़ार हुसैन निकल पड़े कि इधर घर है और उधर एक नई सरहद के पार कुछ नया लुत्फ है, क्यों ना आजमाएं। निकल पड़े ढेरों इंतज़ार की चलो फिर लौट आएंगे। उन्हें क्या पता था तुम एक अलग कौम हो, कायनात का गला घूंटने में अपने को तोप समझते हो, तबाही की चीख पुकार को जिंदगी के गुलजार होने का आगाज समझते हो। नहीं लौट पाए सारे इंतजार, उनका डिबाई छूट गया, वो हर तरफ बेगाने हो गए और बॉर्डर हो गया जुर्म और कत्ल का भूखा कि धूप और हवा की जगह वहाँ घूमे निर्भय नरभक्षी। छलनी यादों के सिवा क्या हाथ लगा, चाहे इस ओर या उस, और इंतजार साहब रोते रहे कि मैं तो यादों का दुनिया हूँ, वहीं रह गया। अहमक ना बनो, जो कहती हूँ करो, कंटीले बॉर्डर के बीच से हवा की तरह बहो, बिजली हो जाओ अगर बिजली के तार हैं, खेलो अच्छे खेल अच्छे होकर, अच्छे को रोकोगे तो बुरे को हथियाते कब देर लगी है। तुमने डर का खेल बना दिया है, कुत्तों की लड़ाई बना दी है, भों ये मेरा इलाका, मूत के बॉर्डर बना दिया, अब जो आया तो भों कच्चा चबा जाऊंगा। सरहद लालचियों के हवाले ना करो, उनके लिए खून और जुल्म मुफ्त और धूप आसमान हवा तस्करी। मत मानो बॉर्डर को, बॉर्डर से अपने टुकड़े मत करो, हम ही हैं, हम नहीं मानेंगे तो ये दीवार नहीं रहेगी। माँ ने छड़ी से एक लाइन बना दी, उसके आर पार होने लगी, कभी कूदती कभी झूलती, हाथ और पांव फेंक के खेलती, मिट्टी धमकती, उसकी आवाज़ ऊपर जाती नीचे आती, उसकी आंखें कभी सुलगती कभी हंसती और कभी लाइन पर खड़ी हो गोल गोल घूमने लगती, छड़ी उठा के सबके सिरों पर धीरे धीरे नचाती कि उन्हें ही दाएं बाएं होना पड़ता। 9 रस छिटकते हैं, सब खड़े हो गए हैं रंग बिरंगे होकर। अली अनवर का मुंह लाल, दढ़ियनों का पीला, खूनियों का हक्का बक्का, नवाज भाई का मोमिल, बेटी का भयभीत, कौवे का गर्वीला, किसी के मुंह से न पीन न चूम। माँ चुप हो जाती है, धीरे धीरे बैठने लगती है, जैसे अपने में गहरी उतरती जाती, बैठने के बाद भी उतरती जाती है, जैसे मिट्टी में दब जाने। जाओ, वो सिर फेर लेती है, मेरा मन उदास है, बहुत लोग मर गए हैं। Your name? Ali Anwar is asking Ma. Oh my, you haven't even been told whom you've come to meet? Asks Ma. Ali Anwar looks down at the table, then up, but to Ma's left some of the time and to her right at others. How did you get here? This army of yours, Ma waves her hand at them, as though sweeping them away with a broom. They didn't even tell you? The soil still tumbling from her hands. Ali Anwar says very politely, Madam, you've done a very bad thing. It's dangerous out there, you have no idea. Then many thanks to your people who brought us here, smiles Ma. You're speaking the truth, madam. You are protected here, out and sound. But I have returned back. Ma looks him straight in the eyes. Ali Anwar lowers his gaze. Madam, you know you have no visa. Why should I have a visa? I never had one before. Why should I have one at this age? Ma says this as though she's 100 years old or 200, or centuries upon centuries. You know this is a crime. You've crossed the border. The volume of Ali Anwar's voice inches up. Beti takes one step towards Ma and 3 steps back. The crow stays right where he is, head sideways, sitting perfectly still, resting his cheek against one wing so as to listen attentively. Because Ma has rested her cane in the earth and has begun to rise. She is rising to stand. After that, she continues to rise, as though she won't be small anymore. She'll continue to grow taller until her head reaches the Khyber sky. Now she stands tall, and all look up and listen to her, cheeks resting on their hands. Border, Ma says. Border. Do you know what a border is? What is a border? It's something that surrounds an existence. It is a person's perimeter. No matter how large, no matter how small. The edge of a handkerchief, the border of a tablecloth, the embroidery around my shawl, the edges of the sky, the beds of flowers in this yard, the borders of fields, the parapet around this roof, a picture frame. Everything has a border. However, a border is not created to be removed. It is meant to illuminate both sides. You removed me. Should I leave? No. A border does not enclose, it opens out. It creates a shape, it adorns an edge. This side of the edging blossoms as does that. Embroider the border with a shimmering vine, studded with precious stones. What is the border? It enhances the personality, it gives strength, it doesn't tear apart. A border increases recognition, where 2 sides meet and both flourish. A border ornaments their meeting. Every part of the body has a border, so does the heart. A border surrounds it, but it also binds it to the other parts. It doesn't wrench the heart from the rest. Fools, if you cut a border through a heart, you don't call it a border, you call it a wound. If you lock a heart inside a border, the heart will break. Asses, a border stops nothing. It is a bridge between 2 connected paths, between night and day, life and death, finding and losing. They are bound together. You can't separate them. A border is a horizon where 2 worlds meet and embrace. A border is love. Love does not create a jail, it throws out stars that surmount all obstacles. A border is a line of meeting. It pairs this way and that way to create a pleasing shape. It happens when the 2 meet. It is a confluence, a sangam. A border is a game, a delightful one. A line has been drawn. The 2 sides begin to play hopscotch. Jump, jump, like so. Tie a rope, swing on it, this way and that, like this. Slip, slide, this way and that, like an acrobat, walking, twirling, falling in both directions. Laughing uproariously, a game. Laughing and playing. First our side, then yours. Toss the ball, hit it, let it fly over the border, chakka. You hit a 6. Let it touch the border, chokka, a 4. Everyone's happy, hunky-dory. Fun times at the border. Sing songs, dance, recite poetry, beautify it, all the way to infinity, fearlessly, all the way to the edge, the boundary, the frame. But don't get nailed to it and don't be the hammer. Push the border forward, forward, further forward, forming a lovely, serious, fearless shape, like tugging at an invisible rope, on and on and on, without losing balance, without breaking, without being broken. Come out the other side. A border, gentlemen, is for crossing. A border says, jump. It's there to tempt you to cross it, come back, play, smile, welcome, meet, greet, create. A border is fun to cross. All give and take goes on there. The border exists to connect one to another. If there's one, there's another, through love. If you hate, the blood that flows through arteries to deliver strength from here to there will flow out and away. Each side will die bit by bit. What fool would want this? But this is what you fools want. You made the border a source of hatred, not an exquisite border enhancing beauty on both sides, but one that kills them both, a murderous beast cutting the artery. Ignoramuses. Only dimwits like you could be deluded enough to say, I'll kill you, but nothing will happen to me. You children, borders running with blood can have only one consequence. The blood will burst their borders and seep away, and all the limbs will dry up and stiffen, but everyone will keep chanting Allahu Akbar and Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. This thing called a border is a matter of the difference between your time and mine. We never used to be paranoid like this. Armed with this knowledge, Intizar Hussain set out with the belief that home is back here and also over there. Across a new border, there's new joy. Why not enjoy it? Thousands of Intizars set out saying, come, let's get over there and then come back. How was he to know what a strange new breed you are? You think your big shots throttling the neck of the world. You believe the cries of ruin are buds about to blossom in the garden of life. Not all the Intizars could return to their towns of Dubai after they departed. They were turned into strangers everywhere, and the border, it grew hungry for crime and bloodshed, let loose ruthless murderers in a place of sunlight and air. Besides shattered, battered memories, what else befell them this side or that? And Intizar Sahib grieved. I am but a cotton cadre of memories, and that is all that remains. Don't be a fool, do as I say, flow like air through the thorny border, become electricity if there are electrical wires. Be good and play good games. If you stop the good people, how hard will it be for the bad to move in? You have created a game of fear. You have created a dog fight, bark, bark, this is my territory. You've made yourselves a piss border. Now I'll bark, bark at whoever comes, I'll chew you up whole. Do not turn the border over to the greedy. For them, blood and crime come free, and sunlight, sky, air is for stealing. Do not accept the border. Do not break yourself into bits with the border. There's only us. If we don't accept, this boundary won't stay. Ma drew a line with her cane and began to move from this side to that side. She jumped, she swung, she threw up her arms and legs playfully, stirring up the earth. Her voice rose, then fell. Sometimes her eyes glowed or she laughed. And sometimes she stood on the line and twirled in a circle, her cane upraised, waving it slowly over everyone's heads, making them swerve and duck. She enacted all 9 rasai. Everyone had got to their feet, colored in every hue. Ali Anwar's face was red. The bearded men's faces were yellow. Nawaz Bhai's face was softened. The murderers were flabbergasted. Betis was terrified, the crows was proud, and not a peep out of their mouths. Ma fell silent, slowly began to sit as though descending deeply within herself. Even after she was seated, she continued her descent, as though to bury herself in the earth. Go, she turned her face away. I feel sad. Many people have died.